Coming in, CBS Sports NFL analyst Emery Hunt. Emily, let's start right there with that one. What a finish in that game. Some situational football for the Bears and the Chiefs here. A great opportunity, too, for some of these young guys trying to make a roster.
Shout out to Jade Walker out of Texas A&M by way of Grand Valley State and what he was able to do. These are what the preseason games are for. Guys going out there trying to make plays. And he was someone that I was high on coming out of the draft. My number 3 ex-wide receiver sacrifices himself for the catch. Was one of my big parts of his scouting report. You saw right there on that touchdown play, making plays by another guy who made plays in the preseason, in Tyson Bagent, who now has a new contract with the Bears.
Absolutely, new contract for Bagent with the Bears. But let's also talk about the Bears starting quarterback, Caleb Williams. We saw him again tonight, going against a lot of starters. The first preseason action we've seen from him against the starters. What have we learned about Caleb in his second season as an NFL starting quarterback?
We're starting to see him play a little bit calmer in the pocket, Madeline, more so than we saw last year. I felt like every play last year was more like a blitz, but once Ben Johnson got there and he started to settle in and started to be a little bit more deliberate in the pocket, more assertive and staying within the pocket and staying on script, a lot of the passes are coming out quick, they're coming out accurate, they're coming out decisive, and we're seeing much better play from him overall. And it just gives you a lot of optimism and confidence going into the season because we saw DeAndre Swift back there. We know the run game is going to be where it needs to be. And he has legitimately 4 or 5 passing options that's going to be at his disposal in the regular offense. So I like what I saw from Caleb Williams so far this preseason. I'm excited to see what I will see from him come regular season time.
Absolutely, and a great opportunity again to be going against starters in the preseason. Speaking of going against starters, the Kansas City Chiefs getting their ones a lot of run. They opened their season on the Friday night of week 1 in Sao Paulo. Chiefs are clearly in their dynasty era right now, despite the fact that they lost pretty significantly to the Eagles in the Super Bowl last year. They did address a lot of needs in this offseason. What did you see from Kansas City this preseason or perhaps Friday night that kind of assures you that they are going to be a team that remains atop the AFC?
Well, we saw big plays from Patrick Mahomes going downfield, and I thought that was something that we hadn't really seen in a while from Kansas City. And everyone still remembers that Rams-Chiefs game where they scored 1 billion points each, and they were looking for that Chiefs team again. Well, again, it's preseason, but we're seeing this team look like that in terms of how they're pushing the ball vertically down the field. Travis Kelce was able to lose some weight and came back looking svelte and looking younger in his receiving ability. And we also saw them now add some more weapons on the perimeter. The offensive line looks to be a lot better. And I think they got better defensively, to be completely honest. So we know defense and offense will always be the thing with Kansas City. I think we'll see them being in the end, once again, at least Final Four. I think that's the floor for Kansas City, AFC Championship game, and then we'll go from there.
Hey, listen, defense wins championships. You said they got better defensively. Speaking of defense wins championships, so the Philadelphia Eagles, they played their final preseason game Friday night in East Rutherford against the Jets. 19-17 was the final score as the Eagles got the win. But if you're the Jets and you see this final score and you're thinking, okay, that was a close one, but you look at the box score, 10 penalties, 3 turnovers, that's got to be a pain point for these Jets, Emery.
Let's go back. Last week against the Giants, 7 penalties for 65 yards and a turnover. Then we go back 2 weeks against the Packers, 10 penalties for 91 yards. And there's a fine line between coaching aggressive, coaching assertiveness, and committed all these penalties. We saw that against Green Bay where they had so many doggone penalties and they were getting in fights on the field. Okay, they calmed down the fights against the Giants, got into a lot of mini fracases around there, but then we saw that calm down against the Eagles, but the penalties still remain. They have 2 weeks to get that together because you're going to lose a lot of football games if you're undisciplined. And we know the physical mistakes or mental mistakes turn into physical ones. That leads to turnovers, that leads to more penalties, and that's how you come on the losing end of a lot of these ball games. So I was unimpressed with the lack of discipline in these ball games because that's what Aaron Glenn's mantra is: discipline, being aggressive, but you got to be smart, be controlled with your aggressiveness out there on the field. And the Jets so far in 3 preseason games have not.
Fracas is a great word that you dropped in there. Definitely something they're going to want to clean up.
I'm in my pockets of greatness at times.
You know, he's in his thesaurus over here, but definitely something the Jets are going to want to clean up before week 1 when they host former Jet Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. Now, the Eagles, they get the win, and the defending champions really look like their depth has been something on display. The rich getting richer a little bit here, Emery.
Yeah, we've seen it all throughout the preseason, Madeline. Quarterback Tanner McKee was out there throwing the football really well. Then you have Jeremiah Trotter, who's looking like Jeremiah Trotter Jr., I'm sorry, Philadelphia Eagles fan. His dad was an outstanding player for the Eagles, but definitely have to put the junior in there. He was tremendous so far in preseason. Joe Evans had himself a really good game as well. You also think about Montrell Johnson and son Derek Powell, two outstanding tailbacks. Johnson from Florida by way of University of Louisiana. I was going to get one of those in there tonight. And son Derek Powell from Central Arkansas, a small guy, but plays faster than what his size is. And Darius Cooper started this whole thing off with how well he played in that first preseason game out there catching passes and catching touchdowns. So their depth is tremendous. Even guys that may not make the 53 but will end up on their practice squad or other teams' practice squad will have an impact. So the Philadelphia Eagles not only ace the draft in terms of starting players, but they always have someone ready to go in their second and third teams on their football squad on both sides of the ball. So I like the depth, and that's why they are who they are, which is why they won the Super Bowl last year. I
mean, depth is an important factor. With cutdown day coming around the corner on Tuesday, I think a sign of a really good team is that the players that one team waives are picked up by another roster, right? These guys are not just auditioning to be on the team that they are playing for in this preseason, but they're auditioning for all 32 teams in the National Football League. We saw 4 preseason games on Friday. So, Emery, I got to ask you, who jumped off the tape to you in these games on Friday? I got to give you 3. I'll give you an offense, defense, and special teams. So let's start with the offensive side of the football. Van Jefferson. And the reason why I'm going with Van Jefferson is because we saw the internet slaughter Van Jefferson for the drop ball. But guess what he did? He caught this one, made this guy fall twice, and outran him to the end zone for 65 yards. He had 3 targets, 3 catches, 102, and a touchdown. He fell twice. That's terrible. On defense, rookie Ashton Gelati out of Louisville. 2 tackles, 2 TFLs. He was my number 3 edge rusher in his draft class. He had a big-time play today, and he's been starring all throughout the preseason. And special teams, because that's so important. How about Jamal Pritchett? Undrafted free agent, South Alabama, Sun Best Conference, so you know I was going to get that in there as well, too. He had 3 punt returns, 63 yards, averaged 21.1 yards a punt return. Obviously, that's aided by this 41-yarder right here, but he was making plays consistently in this ball game. He also had 4 catches for 54 yards, averaged 13 yards a reception. Again, he was a Senior Bowl guy, found his way onto the Jets, and here's an opportunity for him to make it as a receiver and as a core special teamer. That was the #1 note I had in my scout report, is a day 1 core special teamer. He stood out in the element where he had to stand out, and we'll see if he makes the squad. Hey, special teams is really a bubble factor, right? If you can make a play on special teams, that helps you get onto the roster. Emery Hunt, this man knows ball. Thanks so much for the insight, as always. As the preseason winds down, we've got one more day of preseason action Saturday. There are 10 preseason games before, again, cutdown day comes around the corner on Tuesday when rosters are pared down to 53. A lot of questions to be answered, including Ravens Commanders. Who's QB2 in that one? We've got Colts Bengals, Rams Browns, Broncos Saints, another quarterback competition as well.